Good morning. Welcome to a 24-hour readathon. We're not messing about this morning. We're starting the readathon. I want to get cracking because it's currently 10 AM, which means I'm going to be reading past 10 PM tonight. There are some things you should know before we jump in. I would love to say that it can be a full 24 hours of uninterrupted reading time and I'm going to go straight through, but I'm not. I'm going to do 12 hours today and 12 hours tomorrow. That's the first thing. The second thing is I am currently dog sitting, babysitting 2 sausages, and they require so much attention. So I physically cannot tell you that it's going to be uninterrupted because it won't be, because they are menaces. But other than that, we're going to do our damnedest to read as much as physically possible and have a bloody good time while we do it. Why don't I tell you what's possibly on the agenda for the readathon? I'm currently reading this humongous thing that I'm so excited about. This is the Waterstones special edition of Quicksilver by Callie, and it is beautiful. I think I'm about 128 pages in and I'm loving it so far. It's given me everything that I need it to give. I don't want to rush this. I don't want to get overwhelmed by it. I do plan on reading some of it, but I don't want to sort of like finish it all in one sitting, if that makes sense. That's sort of how I'm feeling right now. So this is on the agenda, but not sure if I'm gonna, smash my way through it. Then we have some shorter books that are also on my September TBR. So we have The Goldens by Lauren Wilson. This one is under 400 pages, the things we love to see. We have The Bodyguard by Catherine Centre. This one is just over 300 pages. And then we have Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I really want to get to this one because I want to finish it before I go back to work, but I'm also frightened that if I read this, it's going to wreck me and I'm not going to be able to pick up anything else. Because the reviews I've seen are a little bit crazy and I don't know if I have it in me to put myself through that just yet. That's most of sort of like the agenda for this TBR. I feel like there's enough there to sort of like keep me entertained. The only thing that might be missing is a thriller. But if I get in the mood for a thriller, then they're there. They're on my shelf. I have lots to pick from, but right now that's sort of what is on the agenda. Also, this mug, can we just... I love it! To be honest, there's only one thing left to do. You better start reading. We are in fact reading, what's it called? Quicksilver. I am obsessed. I feel like this book has so many mixed reviews and like people originally I feel like they loved it, and then like I said, my sister read it and she wasn't sure if she enjoyed it or not, but in the first like 70 pages, I literally wolfed them down. I was eating every single word and I was obsessed with literally every single word written on the page. I was loving it. And it's just not stopped, and so much is happening, and sort of like the intrigue and the way it's written and the main character and the people that are being introduced. I'm just obsessed. I'm obsessed with literally everything about it. As much as I want to consume all of it, I'm like reading it and I want to tab it because I'm just obsessed with some of the things that are happening. Let me read you a quote actually, because it literally made me laugh out loud. The three Fae were passing one of the many sets of alcoves occupied by statues of the gods. Evelyn bowed and touched her head to them as she hurried by. Wren rumbled, giving them a cursory nod. Kingfisher stuck out a hand and flipped all 7 of them off as he stormed by. I read this after having like just the briefest introduction to the MMC Kingfisher and just like knowing that I'm going to be so obsessed with him. I am. And I know people have complained about the fact that he's called Kingfisher, like what the hell is that about? But I'm alright with it, I'm willing to see past it, and yeah, I'm having the best time so far. I just wanted to give you a little update. Okay, so far I managed to read about 120 pages. That's it. Let me show you the timer. This is where the timer is at currently. So we've been reading for 2.5 hours, but I did in that time listen to the audio while I was making breakfast, cleaning the kitchen and giving the dog some attention. So I have not stopped reading. I was flipping between my Kindle, the physical book and the audio, and now I'm thinking it might be time for us to switch lanes. I did purchase a book in the past couple of days that I'm looking at and thinking, should we read that? Look, here's where my mind is. This vlog could be filled with me reading books that are on my 25 books I want to read in 2025. And in that case, we could pick up Heavenly Bodies. We could pick up the next book in the Gods and Monsters series, which is The Dawn of the Cursed Queen. We could pick up A Tribute of Fire. We could pick up Mile High. Do I want to read a romance that is on my 2025 books? You know what I mean? Yeah, that's really hard to say. I mess up every time. Or do I want to read a book that's on my September TBR? I'm just not sure. Shall we read a couple of blurbs? One of the books, on my September TBR is The Bodyguard by Catherine Center. I literally picked this book because it has my name in the book and also my partner's name. So the FMC is called Hannah and the MMC is called Jack, and I just thought that was funny. I knew as soon as I figured that out in a bookshop in Amsterdam that I was going to buy this book. It says, Hannah might look like a kindergarten teacher, but the truth is she's an elite bodyguard who could kill you with her bare hands. Jack's an impossibly handsome, world-famous actor who has everything, including a corgi breeding stalker. When Jack's mum gets sick, he heads home to his family's Texas ranch to help out. Only one catch: he doesn't want his family to know about his stalker or the bodyguard thing. So Hannah, against her better judgment, finds herself pretending to be Jack's girlfriend as a cover. Protecting Jack should be easy, but protecting her own heart, that's the hardest thing she's ever done. This is less than 300 pages. Do I want to consume this today? Do I? I'm not sure. That's option number one. Option number two, The Slowest Burn by Sarah Chamberlain, is exactly the same amount of pages as this book. So really it would just be a question of which one do I want to read, and I just don't know. So this says, this is literally a book on the back. Don't you just hate it when the blurbs are so long on the back of books? This says, sometimes the perfect recipe just needs a little extra heat. Ellie Wasserman likes things organised. A top ghostwriter of celebrity cookbooks, she's never taken chances. Not on her writing or telling her needy family she wants to move out, and certainly not on romance. Then she's paired with chaotic Kieran O'Neill, whose destructive attitude sends her spiralling. To keep her perfect reputation intact, she has to finish this book. Kieran O'Neill is flying high. He's won a reality cooking show, got a high-paying book deal, and is set to open his own restaurant all before he turns 30. Then he's paired up with uptight Ellie Wasserman to ghostwrite his book, who seems determined to bring him back down to earth. To keep his career on track and finally impress his judgmental parents, he has to finish this book. But as their deadline nears, the heat between Ellie and Kieran builds, both in and out of the kitchen. Can they let go of their differences and make something truly sweet together, or will everything they've ever wanted go up in smoke? The ultimate will they won't they, enemies to lovers romance that readers everywhere are falling in love with. The reason why I put this on my TBR for the month is because I just feel like foodie romances, like what is that? I've never seen that anywhere else before. So I'm definitely intrigued by it, and I think this would probably be the perfect sort of experience, time to pick this book up. And then we have Mile High. Chicago hockey isn't complete without me. I'm the player everyone loves to hate, the one who spends most of the game in the penalty box and leaves the arena with a different girl every match. I know my role and I play it well. What I don't know is why the new flight attendant on the team's private plane has gotten under my skin. Am I pushing that call button just to push her buttons, or is it more than that? We then have Stevie. I thought I'd seen it all as a flight attendant until I started working for the biggest diva in sport, unfiltered, unapologetic, too attractive for his own good, Evan Sanders. Now I'm second guessing everything, even my promise to never hook up with an athlete again, no matter how annoyingly tempting he is. I speed dated this book in my speed dating my TBR video, and I didn't get a lot from the first page. And this book is long. This book is silly long. It's like 580 pages. What is that about? The Slowest Burn, I have not heard a single person talk about this book or this author. So maybe this is a time for me to read it? Yeah. Sorry, that was a really long-winded way of me saying, look, we're going to read this book. We're going to read The Slowest Burn by Emma Chamberlain now. Okay. cosy right now. We're almost a third of the way through. I have been listening to this. I did a little bit of colouring, but then the dogs decided that they wanted to lay with me and get cosy. So here we are, being cosy. Let me show you how far in we are on the timer. So this is where we're at currently. Our MMC, what's his name? You know, I've just read it. Kieran. Kieran has won a cooking show and he has worked in kitchens for almost 10 years, something like that. And he is now, as part of winning the cooking show, his next step is to write a cookbook. I'm learning that he has ADHD, and to be really blunt about it, he just kind of hates himself. Like, he has a really sort of like poor and like, what is it called? He has like a really low vision of himself, and that was inflicted and sort of brought upon him by his parents, thinking that he's just a huge failure. I think that his ADHD made him struggle a lot in school. So his self-worth is on the floor, but he knows that he's good at cooking. And when our female main character, Ellie, when she is assigned to ghostwrite this book for him and sort of like get to know him and the reason why he cooks and the passion behind it all, he sort of feels a little bit targeted because he's really bad at trying to explain and show sort of like where all the passion comes from, and she is really cutthroat about sort of getting things out of him and asking him questions and probing him, and I think he just feels a little bit targeted by it because he actually just doesn't know how to explain and show someone where all that passion is and where it comes from. So that's a little bit about them and where they're sort of clashing so far. They have started to try some recipes together. They've gone somewhere that I think belongs to maybe Ellie's manager, and they're in this place together, which is meant to be a cottage, but I don't think it is very cottage-esque. They're trying out some recipes together and trying to cook some things up, and yeah, it's just fun. Their dynamic is fun, and I am having fun. I've said fun about 9 times in the past minute. And that's what's happening right now. I have 2 sleepy doggos and a very cosy book. So that's where we're at. Now, I know it doesn't look like it, but I have actually left this room today. This is the time. And I have 3 hours and 20 minutes left to read today, if I don't want to carry anything over to tomorrow. I'm currently reading Quicksilver. I'm 43% of the way through. Still feeling the same as before. Not a lot has changed there. In terms of the Slowest burn, I have like a third left, so we'll be finishing this tonight and hopefully starting something else, because as much as I want to read Quicksilver, I'm not going to feel extremely accomplished if I only manage to read 500 pages of this and still don't finish it. Because it's so long. So yeah, we'll get back to you. Hey Normsy. We'll get back to you when I feel like I've accomplished something. What are you eating?
Quick roll.
Crispy roll? You can't be eating crispy rolls without me. Okay, I'll speak to you guys soon. I wish I could say it was morning, but it's not. I also wish I could say I'm not using a makeup wipe, but I am. And the reason for this is because those 2 sausage dogs, God, did they love to smooch. And I just need something to feel a little bit cleaner, and I can't use my bathroom right now because my partner is currently painting it. So, good afternoon. Let's have a look. It is currently 13:26. So that is the time, and I've paused the timer. The reason why I've done this is because I ended up having to just sort of like tap out last night because I was feeling extremely not cool, not good. Things weren't fab. So we took a time out last night. I didn't get to sleep until extremely late, which means I woke up a little bit later than I did yesterday, and with all that being said, we haven't started the read for the day. But I did manage to just finish this. I finished it right this second. So I finished yesterday's hours, which it was only like 40 minutes or something like that. I finished that just now because that felt doable. Still not feeling great, but that felt doable, and I was really excited to not only finish it but just sort of like round out this book and give you some thoughts and feelings on how I felt about it. And of course we're doing all of that while I do my skincare and try and feel a little bit more alive. So I obviously told you quite a bit about what the book is about and what it entails, and in terms of like the development of the book, I felt like the romance developed in a really sort of like organic way. Like nothing about it felt fake or forced or wrong. Like a lot of it felt like it was exactly sort of like what would actually happen in that situation, which I really enjoyed because obviously it made it quite easy to not necessarily relate to, but to just to understand and you know, root for. So that was fun. There's a lot going on outside of like just the romance in here that impacts the romance. Like the main female character, Ellie, she's actually a widow and she's extremely close with her dead husband's parents, and that it like impacts her like crazy. It's really interesting the role that they played in sort of like what she allowed for herself and her being a people pleaser, and yeah, it was way more complex and like so many different things going on with her that made it just kind of like wild to even like imagine that someone could be that selfless, but it did also feel extremely believable. So it was, yeah, that was fun. I enjoyed it. And then with the MMC, obviously he had issues too, but his was sort of less demanding, and it was definitely easier for him to come to terms with the fact that he was falling in love. And even if it wasn't what they were meant to be doing, he was quite willing to just sort of admit it and just take the shit that was going to come along with it, where the FMC didn't do that quite as easily as he did. And obviously that's where the conflict comes from. Essentially there's loads of things that come into it, and I'm not really spoiling anything. I've been super brief, I hope, and obviously we all know that there's going to be a third act conflict at some point in a romance book, and this one had so many different layers and I really enjoyed it. I did. I'm gonna settle on a 4-star, and I think that the reason why I didn't love it was probably because I really didn't like some of the side characters and sort of their impact on our main characters. Like there was so much complexity in their backgrounds that made me just wish that it could have rounded out a little bit better, or they could have just not existed at all. That would have been nice. So yeah, and I think all in all, like for how much this, for a 320 page romance, I think that like the depth and the romance was stunning. I really enjoyed the foodie side of it, which I knew that when I picked this for my September TBR and also for this video, that I just wasn't sure how I was going to feel about that, but it actually felt really good. It kind of felt like watching a cooking TV show and seeing like the behind the scenes of how things come to be, because I have never read anything like this, in that I never see the behind the scenes of creating a cookbook. So that was fun and I really enjoyed it. So that is obviously finished. In terms of this bad boy, I have no idea where I'm at. I think I'm probably about 50% of the way through now. So I probably read, I don't know, maybe like 35% of this book yesterday. So I did read like a big chunk, that chunk in the middle there, that's what I read yesterday. But I also, I'm just sort of like, I feel like I'm taking myself out of the book, which was definitely like, it was bound to happen, wasn't it really? It was bound to happen that I was going to struggle to stay connected to it because I'd chosen to read something else. But I think that also comes with forcing yourself to read for 24 hours. Like, of course, at some point I'm going to start to feel like I don't want to be in it. So not sure if we're going to continue this today. I'm itching to read it and I just want to keep going because I don't want my love for it to just disappear and for me to take myself out of it in order to do the challenge. But I don't want to force myself. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, that's a hard one. So that's where we're at. I think I'll pick up with you guys when I've chosen our next read. I do have some sort of like thoughts, feelings and inklings of what I want to move into, but I'm just gonna get my shit together first and then we'll do that. And then we'll start the timer for the day. Started The Goldens by Lauren Wilson, and I've made it to page 94, which is probably like just under a third of the book because, sorry Nomsy, the book itself, oh, maybe not quite a third, it's 370 pages. I know that the book is meant to be quite thrilling and mysterious. Not sure why I didn't say that when I put it on the list at the start of the video, because I knew that. I knew that this book was probably going to freak me out, make me really mad, but my sort of pull to this book is that it is about young female friendship. It's about the things that you sacrifice when you fall in love with your best friends, in that you become like infatuated and obsessed with them, you do anything for them in a completely platonic way, how friendships just take over your life, specifically when you're young. And I knew that from speed dating it in my speed dating my TBR video. And yeah, I kind of expect that this book it's probably going to make me feel some sort of way about the friendships that I used to have growing up. Now that I'm reading it, it is started with how our main characters are meeting. So our main character is called Chloe, and she has started university. She's had like quite a sheltered, not necessarily sheltered, but she's that girl in school that just sort of like keeps to herself. She likes her books, she's obsessed with reading. She is doing a degree at her new university around creative writing and literature, and she hasn't gotten along with the people that she's living with. She got assigned to one of the oldest buildings that you can have as accommodation at uni. And yeah, that's sort of like where she's at the start of the book. And then she comes across a girl named Clara who has the exact same initials of her. Clara is like an influencer on social media and Instagram. She has this huge flashy life. She's got so much money. Her parents pay her like thousands and thousands of thousands to basically just keep her at home and keep quiet. And that's essentially what she does, but she throws all these huge parties and like she's just the picture of elegance and perfectionism of what you see online when you think, oh my god, I want to have her life. But obviously in reality her life is not that great. And now that we're about 100 pages in, we're sort of like getting to see the background of that and what Clara's life actually looks like, and seeing like the judgment of it from Chloe's side, because she grew up on the complete opposite end of the spectrum. And that's pretty much it. That's all I can tell you. There's been a couple of things that give me like a little bit of eeriness, but nothing crazy yet. And I'm just intrigued as to how we're gonna get there, because I'm expecting this to get a little bit creepy, eerie and dark. So I'll let you know when that happens. That's where we're at. We still have over 9 hours left to read, and it's 5:15. So unsurprisingly to absolutely nobody, this again is going to go over 3 days. I'll let you guys know when I have a little bit of an update, but as of right now, this is the current situation. This is my baby girl Norma. We're just having a cuddle. And it's probably time that we finish this 24-hour readathon. More than 24 hours after I started it. Do you think? So this is the timer currently. We have 8 hours and 22 minutes left. And the reason for this is last night kind of took a turn and I just had to stop. I had to stop. Things, they just had to pause. Unfortunately, I did have it in mid-pause the timer, so that's what we did. But we're back. We're going to finish this today. And right now we have The Goldens, which we're obviously currently reading, and we also have Quicksilver on my wonderful Kindle. Can I just show you this as well, by the way? So I've obviously done this. I got this while I was in Wales and I just think it's the funniest, cutest thing ever. And now I feel like one of the proper reading girlies because I have a Kindle that looks like this and it makes me happy. Now I am 166 pages into this, which is a little under halfway, I think. I don't think I have any thoughts that I can actually tell you right now, other than things, they're starting to unfold. Like things feel like they're getting intense, but it's just within their friendship. Like something's obviously not right with this girl. She's absolutely fucked. I don't know how else to say it. And I want to finish this today while it's light outside and I have some of my sanity. It might not be good for me to be reading this while I have the Sunday scaries actually, but we're gonna do that. I think this is what I'm gonna read now. I'm desperate to pick up Quicksilver because I could also finish this today. Like I could do that. I'm in my cozy spot at my parents' house and I have my coffee and we're gonna do this. We're gonna start reading again. Okay, are you ready? I'm ready. Let's go. While Jack's making as much noise as physically possible to make the pancakes that I've requested this morning, I want to talk about the vibes of this book. At its core, and sort of like if you read the blurb of this book, it literally tells you that Chloe and Clara form this friendship, and it's described by a few people on the front saying it's insidious, deliciously dark, tale of toxic friendship, which is exactly what it is. But the writing and the way that Lauren Wilson has sort of concocted this friendship and this story is so eerie. Like I'm just waiting to figure out why the hell we are, not even why, just where are we going? Like what is going to happen? Like you can just see that the recipe here is just intended for disaster, and it feels so unfortunate that the main character Chloe that we are following, we're in her head, like it's almost like she can sense that something's going wrong, but there's deliberate reasoning for that, for the reason why we feel like we know that something's going to happen, and the prologue tells you that. And I don't know if I've mentioned it this far, and I'm not going to. I don't feel like spoiling things. I feel like going into this book blind is probably the best thing that you can do. But let's say we're like mid-chapter and Chloe's feeling like something might be wrong. She sort of like takes you out of the story and says, it's at this point that I should have known, and like this was my first red flag, as if like Chloe's telling us this story from after the worst of the events, and it just sort of like puts you back into the expectation of, oh shit, yeah, things are going to get really bad, because while you're actually in it, you just feel immersed in this friendship and Clara's world, and the way that Lauren Wilson has done that, I think, is really clever, and it adds to the sort of eeriness and just the funkiness of the vibe of the book, and I'm really enjoying that actually. It feels very thriller-esque, and I don't think you would get that from this cover, so props to you, Miss Lauren, because I think that's great. It's also on the front, it says Laura Stephen has said it's one of the best debuts that she's ever read, so this is a debut novel, and I got this as the Waterstones Book of the Month in July, so great vibes, very odd, very weird. Our timer says that we have 7 hours and 32 minutes left. I would love to be able to finish this in the next hour and a half, but I'm not sure if I'm going to be driving home in that time, at which point I will switch to the audiobook for Quicksilver. So, I don't know, but we will be finishing this today. We will have a second book finished eventually. That should give me hopefully about 6 hours to read something else, which really, if I picked up another 300-page book, that would be us able to finish another book, but let's not get hasty. Let's not. Come again? Oh. Oh my god. I've just paused the timer. Sorry, I need a sec. This is where we're at. 3 hours and 29 minutes left on the clock, and I've just finished this book. Oh my god. Oh my god. You saw you saw my reactions. You saw that I was just, what the hell? Oh, this is a debut book. This is a debut novel, and I am literally astounded by the way that it has made me feel. It is unbelievable how much we know exactly what's happening. We know it, but the gutting feeling that it gives you still is just it is unbelievable. I'm describing this right now thinking, what do I rate this book? But I just think that there's no way that I can't say it's not a 5-star. I can say it is. No, you know what I'm saying. As I've been reading it, I've been thinking, like, what could I possibly compare this to sort of portray the way that it's made me feel and sort of the vibe and the tone of the writing. And the only thing really that I can think of is the way that, if you've read Yellowface by R.F. Kuang and you understand the sort of like utter manipulation of that book and the tone and just the eeriness and how wrong it feels from start to finish, that is what this had, but you put a different spin on it that's not involving race and a version of blackface, which is essentially what Yellowface is about. This one is about sort of like teen drama, and these girls are at university. They're at their first year of university, so they're young enough to be just swept off and swept up into whatever the hell Clara Holland cooks up. They just fall right into it, and it's fucking wild. It is so crazy. I think I'm gonna stop yapping about it. I think you can tell by my reaction and sort of like my experience as I've read this book that, you know, we love her. We can't believe that we love her, but we love her. I am so happy to have read this, and I think I needed it actually with the way that this readathon has gone. Wonderful. Moving on. I have in fact started a different book. So there was a point in the past few hours where I've been in the midst of 3 different books. So I had to lock in and finish The Goldens, because I actually started The Dead Romantics by Ashley Poston. And I started this because I didn't want to listen to the audiobook of The Goldens, because I was really enjoying what I was getting from it, from the reading experience. And I flipping love audiobooks, I really do, but I wanted to read it with my eyeballs, and I decided that I would pick up the audiobook for this and start this because I had a couple of things that I needed to do. I had to sort of clean, I went to a couple of shops, I had things that needed doing, so I picked up the audiobook for this. We are actually 130 pages in, and I haven't physically read a single word of this yet, but I have been reading it through audio. God, it feels very different to this. It feels extremely different. The vibes of the books that I have read this video just could not be more different, like the diversity. We're here for it. So, The Dead Romantics. We have RMMC. Do you know what, actually, instead of me trying to describe this to you, I'm going to read you the blurb, because my mind right now, all that's in here is Clara Holland and The Goldens. So let me tell you what's going on here. Florence Day is a ghostwriter with one big problem. She's supposed to be penning swoon-worthy novels for a famous romance author, but after a bad breakup, Florence no longer believes in love. And when her strict but undeniably hot new editor, Benji Andor, refuses to give her an extension on her book deadline, Florence prepares to kiss her career goodbye. When tragedy strikes and Florence has to head home, the last thing she expects to see is a ghost at her front door. Not just any ghost, however, but the stern form of her still very hot, yet now unquestionably dead new editor. As sparks fly between them, Florence tells herself that she can't be falling for a ghost, even an infuriatingly sexy one. But can Benji help Florence to realise love isn't dead after all? From what I've read so far, I won't tell you anything that's not on the blurb, but our main character is... she's obviously a ghostwriter, so she's writing books on behalf of other people, and she had like a tumultuous and sort of like manipulative, toxic relationship with someone, and that's kind of like, it's thwarted her view of love and relationships, and she thinks she's sort of unworthy of them. She doesn't believe in it anymore, but she's obviously a romance writer. So she gets a new editor and she's writing this book on behalf of someone, and Mr. New Editor, who is Ben in this book, Benji, Benji, we'll call him Benji. Benji is quite cold with her and basically is like, can you just crack on? Like, there's no time for this. And then, yeah, he's dead. And it turns out that our girl, she can see ghosts, and that's pretty much all I've got for you so far. What I can say is that the reason that she's gone home is sort of like leading us and like enlightening some issues that she has with family, in terms of her relationship with her siblings and her mother and her dad. And yeah, that's pretty much all I've got for you so far. So we are 130 pages in, and this book has less than 350 pages, so I would have to read 220 pages in the next 3 hours and 29 minutes for us to finally finish another book in this readathon. And it's so doable. It really is. We're still doing this. What time are we on? It's 20 to 7, so I am going to be reading until like 10:15 tonight, but to be honest, I would be doing that anyway. I might not be listening to audiobooks, I did other things, but I would be reading tonight. So yeah, that's what's happening. I need to do many things before I can go back to work tomorrow, so right now I'm going to stick the audiobook on. It's 10:20 and I have officially paused the timer. I'm getting rid of it. There's 27 minutes left and it is gone, but it's okay because I finished The Dead Romantics literally just this second. I closed the book, I dried a little bit of my hair, and now we're catching up. It got to like page like 280 of this book and I just started like crying, squealing, just screaming and feeling such big things that I just wasn't expecting, because I found that sort of like the first 200 pages of the book, they were nice and they were given like 3.5 star. Like, things felt cute, but I wasn't sort of like overwhelmed with connection and emotion and all of the things that you want to feel. And then suddenly my eyes were full of tears and I was just sobbing and I was laughing and I was feeling so grateful and I was having all of these big emotions and I didn't know what to do with them, and it just continued until the end of the book. I can't tell you a single reason for all of that emotion other than this family deals with a lot of death, because our FMC's parents own a funeral home, and obviously that means that they spend a lot of time with dead bodies, they feel interlinked with ghosts and all of that sort of thing. So it was just extremely warm and wholesome, the amount of reflection that you got to experience throughout the book about what life is. I think one of the reasons that made me the most emotional, one of the things that made me most emotional was that there was such a brilliant family in this book, and the way that family love was represented is not something that I feel like you read very often. I think that we get to read it through books like The Nightingale and The Women, and books that really sort of like have these really strong links of family through blood, and you don't read that, I don't feel like, in a lot of books. Sometimes it might be like the odd sister or the odd parent, but often it's like lots of like nasty and like traumatic things when we read about families in books. Well, that tends to be what I read with a lot of contemporary romance. It was really nice in this one to have such a connected family, and I was reading it feeling extremely lucky, actually, to be able to reflect on what I have. And I got really emotional about that because I've just been really emotional the past few days, and I don't think that the book is to blame, but I will still, I'll give it to Ashley Poston and let the world know that she made me feel so warm in the family that she created alongside the romance. And oh, it was just a lot, and there's so much that I want to say that I just can't, because obviously it would spoil the book, because most of my really big feelings happen in the last 100 pages of this book, so can't share them with you. But right now it feels like a 4.25 star. I'm just really glad that I read this. I've read it so quickly. I started reading it today at like 2:30 and it's now finished. So we have completed one more book, which just feels great. It feels like what needed to happen because this vlog wasn't feeling as successful as I wanted it to, but now it's feeling a little bit more successful. I don't know if I've done this update, but I got to page 324 in Quicksilver, which means that I managed to read about 210 pages of this during the vlog, and I don't think it's going to look like we made much progress to you compared to the last update that I did, but I think it's fair to say that reading 3 books in their entirety plus 210 pages of Quicksilver, I think I did well. So I'm really happy with that, and I would love to thank you for watching. If you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching, and in the comments I want to know what you're most excited to read this autumn season, because my next vlog is going to be focusing on a lot of fall and autumn reads, and if you have something exciting that you're anticipating, maybe I'm going to want to read it and maybe I could pick it up for the next vlog. Like I said, thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye.